Yeah, I think to start fundamentally, in order for media or advertising to work, you need the consumer to be happy. And I think a lot of the discussion you had today was about how to get the consumer re-engaged when in fact in certain ways they've been alienated by media and advertising. The discussions of decluttering are because there's some feeling that consumers, that the large ad loads have alienated consumers. That's the bulk of it right now. Well, I think the first, starting with the consumer, you have a business challenge if the consumer is not engaged with you, regardless of performance, right? So I think that's got to be the starting point. There are innovative things going on in terms of formats, and a lot of the questions now are how do you increase the performance, like you said, to cover the shorter, the less amount of advertising. And I think there are ways of doing that, not just from formats, but potentially from targeting as well. There are also, interestingly, there's a lot of looking at how consumer habits impact traditional reach and frequency metrics, right? So as an example, and this is a study we did with one of the media companies, was we looked at binge viewing and sponsorships. And so if you're a sponsor and you're paying a media company on a CPM, you're forcing that media company to run your ad all the way through a binge viewing environment. And in some cases, that actually leads to lower performance, because when you've seen the same ad 50 times in a sitting, which I know all of us who have binge viewed have, right, at some point you start going negatively against the brand and the media company, right? So definitely formats, and definitely the mix of advertising is a question right now. Yeah, so programmatic TV, I would look at in a couple levels. To start with, it's just automating stuff, right? Just making it easier to process POs back and forth, right? The second level is making more informed buying decisions with deeper data. So that could be, let's say, bringing in first-party data, overlaying it onto the Nielsen ratings, and figuring out how to be more effective that way. And the kind of ultimate is your truly dynamically inserted ad environment. That's a small piece of the market right now, the truly dynamic components of it. So most of what we're seeing is the automation, and then taking indices of various different purchasing behaviors and behavioral data, putting that on top of television ratings, and buying that way. So what's interesting about video on demand, it's actually easier to measure video on demand in a digital environment than it is in a TV environment, because we just have a much larger scale of data when you look digitally. And the scale of the VOD campaigns right now is not the same as what you get in a typical ad buy. So the metric, it's not that the metrics aren't there. The metrics are there. Some companies choose to put them into a C3, C7 mechanism. Some want to treat those metrics more like digital, looking at the actual campaigns themselves. It's more of a scale, and I think as scale builds, you'll see more measurement around that as well.
Great. And Andrew, you have coming up the 360 in Las Vegas. I'm really excited to be going. What are some of the big topics you think that will be, discussed there?
Well, for you, shouldn't be surprised, but total audience will be a big one for us, right? So brands have to, if you want to sell 1 million products, you have to get to at least 1 million customers, and probably more unless you have a 100% take rate, right? And the question of how you mix to get that audience right now is harder forever than brands. And so media companies, conversely, are trying to monetize their audiences, and they're not in the way things traditionally work. They're not recouping all the viewers they have right now. So total audience is certainly going to be a big one. The other piece of it is we acquired Exalate last year. Last year, is it a little bit over now? And they've really formed the backbone of us being able to take our buying data and our audience data and put all that together into tools that are available for marketers. And so the marketing cloud, we call it, and that's going to be a particularly big subject for us there as well.